Alright, hey guys, so today we are going to be continuing with Reading Out Loud Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And today we are going to be continuing with Book 7. And without further ado, we shall start the timer. And today we are going to read it for 15 minutes. And the timer starts right now. Bam. Let's go. The way nature has blended you into the compound whole does not prevent you drawing a boundary around yourself and keeping what is your own in your own control. Always remember this. Always remember this. Remember too that the happy life depends on very little. And do not think just because you have given up hope of becoming a philosopher or a scientist, you should therefore despair of a free spirit, integrity, social conscience, obedience to God. It is wholly possible to become a divine man without anybody's recognition. Live through your life without pressure and in the utmost contentment, even if all are clamoring what they will against you, even if wild beasts are tearing off the limbs of this poor lump of a body accreted around you. What in all this prevents the mind from preserving itself in tranquility, in true judgment of circumstances, and readiness to use any event submitted to it? So that judgment says to circumstance, this is what you really are, however different you may conventionally appear, and ready use says to event, I was looking for you. I always take the present moment as raw material for the exercise of rational and social virtue. In short, for the art of man or God, because a God or a man can assimilate anything that happens. It will not be new or hard to handle, but familiar and easy. Perfection of character is this, to live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense. The gods who are free from death do not resent their need throughout all the length of eternity to tolerate in such numbers such worthless creature as men. What is more, they even care for them in all sorts of ways. And do you, with the merest time before your own exit, refuse to make the effort? And that when you are one of the worthless creatures yourself, it is ridiculous not to escape from one's own vices, which is possible, while trying to escape the vices of others, which is impossible. Whatever the rational and social faculty finds neither intelligent nor to the common good it judges, with good reason, beneath itself. When you have done good and another has benefited, why do you still look as fools do for a third thing besides credit for good work or a return? No one tires of receiving benefit. An action in accordance with nature is your own benefit. Do not then tire of benefit gained by benefit given. No one tires of receiving benefit. An action in accordance with nature is your own benefit. Do not then tire of benefit gained by benefit given. The nature of the whole set itself to create a universe. So now either everything that comes into being springs from that as logical consequence, or else even the primary aims to which the directing mind of the universe sets its own impulse are rational. Reminding yourself of this will help you face much with greater tranquility. Book 8. Wow. This too is a counter to pretension. That you have lost now the chance to live your whole life, or at least your adult life, as a philosopher. Indeed, it has become clear to many, yourself included, that you are far from philosophy. You're tarnished. Then, difficult for you now to win the reputation of a philosopher. Difficult for you now to win the reputation of a philosopher. And besides, your station in life is contrary pole. So if you have a true perception of how things lie, abandon any concern for reputation, and be satisfied if you can just live the rest of your life, whatever remains, in the way your nature wishes. You must consider then what those wishes are, and then let nothing else distract you. You know from experience that in all your wanderings you have nowhere found the good life, not in logic, not in wealth, and not in glory, not in indulgence, nowhere. Where then is it to be found? In doing what man's nature requires. And how is he to do this? By having principles to govern his impulses and actions. What are these principles? Those of good and evil. The belief that nothing is good for a human being, which does not make him just, self-controlled, brave, and free. And nothing evil, which does not make him the opposite of these. Ask yourself about each action. How does this sit with me? Shall I regret it? In a short while, I am dead, and all things are gone. What more do I want? If this present work is that of an intelligent and social being, sharing one law with God? Alexander, Julius Caesar, Pompey, what are they to Diogenes, Heraclitus, Socrates? These men saw into reality, its causes, and its material, and their directing minds were their own masters. As for the former, they were slaves to their own ambition. Even if you burst with indignation, even if you burst with indignation, they will still carry on regardless. First, do not be upset. All things follow the nature of the whole, and in a little while, you will no longer. First, do not be upset. All things follow the nature of the whole, and in a little while, you will be no one and nowhere. As is true now, even of Hadrian and Augustus. Now, concentrate on the matter in hand and see it for what it is. R- remind yourself of your duty to be a good man, and rehearse what man's nature demands. Then do it straight and unswerving, or say what you best think right, always, though, in kindness, integrity, and sincerity. The work of universal nature is to translate this reality to another, to change things, to take them from here and carry them there. All things are mutations, and there is equality too in their distribution. All is familiar, no cause then for fear of anything new. Every living organism is fulfilled when it follows the right path for its own nature. For a rational nature, the right path is to withhold assent to anything false or obscure in the impressions made on its mind, to direct its impulses solely to social action, to reserve its desires and aversions to what lies in our power, and to welcome all that is assigned to it by universal nature, because it is a part of universal nature, just as the nature of a leaf is a part of the plant's nature, except that in the case of the leaf its nature partakes of a nature which lacks perception or reason and is liable to impediment, whereas man's nature is part of a nature which is unimpeded, intelligent, and just. In that to each creature it gives fair and appropriate allocations of duration, substance, cause, activity, and experience. But do not look to find one-to-one correspondence in every case, but rather an overall equivalence, the totality of this to the aggregate of that. Not possible to study, but possible to reign in ignorance, possible to triumph over pleasures and pains, possible to rise above mere glory, possible not to be angry with the unfeeling and the ungrateful, and even, yes, to care for them. Let nobody any more hear you blaming palace life, no hearing yourself blaming it. Regret is a censor. Regret is a censor of yourself for missing something beneficial. The good must be something beneficial and of concern to the wholly good person. No wholly good person would regret missing a pleasure. Therefore, pleasure is neither beneficial or good. What is this thing in itself, in its own constitution? What are its elements of substance and material? And what of cause? What is its function in the world? What is its duration? When you are reluctant to get up from your sleep, remind yourself that it is your constitution, a man's nature to perform social acts, whereas sleep is something you share with dumb animals. Now what accords with nature of each being is thereby the more closely related to it, the more in its essence, and indeed the more to its liking. Constantly test your mental impressions, each one individually. If you can, investigate the cause, identify the emotion, apply the analysis of logic. Whenever you meet someone, ask yourself first this immediate question: What beliefs does this person hold about the good and the bad life? What beliefs does this person hold about the good and the bad in life? Because if he believes this or that about pleasure, we are going to finish this paragraph. What beliefs does this person hold about the good and bad in life? Because if he believes this or that about pleasure and pain and the constituents, about fame and obscurity, death and life, then I shall not find it surprising or strange if he acts in this or that way, and I shall remember that he has no choice but to act as he does. Alright, pretty good progress today. We are going to see you tomorrow. Peace.